Hi guys, this is Angie and I come to you with another list of game titles that I think might be pretty good, and because the Steam sale is again upon us, I think it's a great time to just remind you some of those titles that you might want to check them out. First game is one you might have already seen on my channel. It's The Flame and the Flood. It's a beautifully designed, a bit roguelike survival game where you play as a girl in a world where almost everything is underwater. It has a great style, a little like Tim Burton movies. I've spent a fair amount of hours in this game and I have to admit I haven't discovered all. The one downside of this game, I would say, is the fact that the whole river you are traveling through is generated each time you start a game, so you never know what you encounter along the way. So sometimes you might need to get to a very specific location, like to fix your raft or to get fresh water, to get food, but you aren't encountering any location that would provide that. So sometimes it's pretty annoying. It could be, let's say, difficulty could be a bit better, but apart from that, it's great. Among many survival games I've played, I think this one is very intriguing and very pretty, I would say. The next game I would recommend to you is Orwell. It's something between an adventure game and a visual novel where you play the government official who is tasked with spying on people, basically. There is a story in this game that revolves around a pretty unstable political situation in a country, and you are tasked to, let's say, resolve it somehow. I'm not gonna go into details because the choices in this game really do matter. There's one story and it usually has a very specific motion, but there's a lot of things you can change in that. You may save some people, you may lock up some people, there are different things you can do. The story is pretty unsettling sometimes, and if you don't want to read a lot, it might be too heavy for you, but if you like something like conspiracy theories, then I think this is a game for you. The next game is Never Alone, which is a platform game based on Inupiat legends. I hope I said that right. I think those legends and those stories are just fantastic, and I wish there were more of them. There's also a DLC called Fox Tales, but I haven't played that yet, so I'm not gonna go into details in that. But the story in the base game is amazing. There are some great mechanics. The visuals are also pretty great. I really love the designs of the spirits you encounter along the way. And a very curious thing within the game is that you can unlock certain extra content that is usually the explanation of symbolism within the game and some additional details on what you saw, what you encountered, and what are those things around you. I have to admit that the mechanics are sometimes a bit rough, and I would truly recommend to play it with somebody, because this game is also available for 2 players. You can play it alone, switching between the fox and the girl, or you can play it together on one keyboard. So if you have somebody who would also want to play this, go for it. Because I am a huge fan of economic games and a huge fan of space, when I found Planet Base, I went crazy. Seriously. It's fantastic base building game that really considers some harsh environmental things that are pretty common on Mars or maybe even other planets. It really has this thing when you play a game and you think, oh, just one more day, one more round, just one more building or something, because when I sat to start playing this game, I just couldn't let it go for a few hours. It's just that amazing, and it requires a lot of planning. And if I can have one advice for a player, plan ahead and don't feel bad destroying buildings. Like scrapping some corridor and scrapping some maybe common room or something like that if you need to build something bigger. It's not a very complicated game, so if you expect something along the lines of Civilization or something more complicated, then no, it's a pretty straightforward and relaxing game. But like I said, it's one of those games when it's just one more round, and before you notice, it's 6 in the morning. Stardew Valley is another partially economic game, but more like crafting or almost like survival game. But this one is more relaxing because, to be honest, all you have to do is just make ends meet and you can chill all day long. Recently there was a big update for a game, adding new types of farms and some additional quests, because yes, this game also has a story and also has a quest. It is said to be very similar to Harvest Moon, which I cannot confirm because I haven't played Harvest Moon, but it seems like I would love it from what I read and heard on the internet. As for the graphics, I will let the trailer and the gameplay speak for itself because I think it's adorable. The next game is again set in space because I love space. The next game, called Opus, The Day We Found Earth. First, I played this game on my mobile phone because it's also available there. But when I found out that it's also available on a computer, I just couldn't let it go. It's a touching story with okay graphics. I think the design is well suited for a small game like that. But the music is beautiful. I really recommend it. Just hear it and you'll see. At first it might seem a bit boring because, to be honest, the story is that the robot is manually scanning the whole universe looking for Earth, but it gets interesting along the way. I won't spoil it, but you'll see. Just check it out. The next game is also set in space because I just can't get enough of space. If you like strategy games, if you like economic games, I think you'll like this one. Especially if you don't want something overly complicated, Stellaris is just perfect. The game has some very nice mechanics. I already played almost 30 hours in, I think, 2 weeks. And I tried 3 or 4 different approaches. You can try many different types of approaches to the other aliens. It's not overly complicated. I would say it's as complicated as you made it to be, because you might play pretty straightforward game, but of course you won't get the same results as if you would use all of the available stuff you can. There are many things you can do in this game. I love it. I've spent so many hours and I will spend so many more. I just hope you'll enjoy it as well. The next game is again a bit of economic game because I like economic games with a bit of a arcadey twist, let's say. It's called Sled Saga and you have dogs. That's the most important thing. There are dogs and you can pet them. That's just amazing. And there are different kinds of dogs. There are huskies, there are Bernards, there are Labradors. It's a game where you have a sled, you have dogs, and you compete in different races, dog sledding races. You decide which dogs would be suitable for which place. You need to discover if they prefer to be in the back or on a lead or in the middle, because different dogs have different strengths. Later in the game, you can hire people to help you train the dogs. You can breed the dogs. You can mix some of the dogs you have, and you can have puppies. It's amazing. I recommend it. I've already recommended to you Transistor, so now I'm gonna talk about Bastion. It was the first game from Supergiant Games that blew up. That was so popular on the internet and everywhere because of its very unique style, its narration, its story, and the whole mechanic that was within the game. It's a masterpiece, although I have to say that the fighting mechanic was not really my cup of tea, and sometimes the maps were a bit confusing because you aren't always sure where you can go and where you can't. So that might be a bit confusing, but the story is beautiful. The music is amazing. I still have it on my playlist and I listen to it from time to time. And the narrator, the old man, is just amazing. Just go and see it. It's beautiful. If you like games that aren't what they seem in the first glance, then I highly recommend Pony Island, which when you first start playing it, it seems like it's an endless runner with a pony unicorn as a main protagonist, but it later turns out that it might be a bit more. It has a very interesting mechanic where you have to cheat, you have to get into the system, change some stuff in the algorithm of the game, in the code of the game. It's confusing. Just check it out and see if it's your cup of tea. If not, I won't judge you, but I think it's worth checking out. The next game is, I think, one of my favorites. I don't think it ever gained a big following, although I think it would deserve because I think it's a great idea. It's Hand of Fate. It's it's partially card game, partially RPG, partially a hack and slash. It's a mix of all. What's very curious is that the main game is set with the cards by a very mysterious man you are sitting at the table with, and he has decks in which are cards of equipment, of some encounters. It might be good encounters, it might be bad encounters. There are some bosses along the way. It's very interesting and I think it's beautifully made and it has a big potential. The last game on my list will be an adorable Botanicula, which is a puzzle platformer game with adorable seeds as the main protagonist. There are different shapes and sizes and it's just beautiful. It's made by the same company that did Machinarium and Samrost. It's worth checking out. It's very beautiful. It's, I would say, quirky. I think it's a good word. It's very charming and you should check it out. Just look at those characters. Hey guys, thanks for watching my list. I hope you liked it. If there are any titles that you think I should try or you would recommend to me, just put them in the comments. I always love to getting recommendation, and I love checking out games I might have not heard of. What do you think about those titles I put over there? Do you think they are any good? Have you tried any of them? You can always like the video and share the video if you want to show it to your friends. I won't mind. But for now, thanks again for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!